Hello class, today we'll be learning about synonyms and antonyms. So before we learn the definition of both of these words, I want you to know that synonyms and antonyms are very important when writing because they spice up your language. They add character and voice to your writing, and they make it so much more interesting for the reader. So now let's learn the definition of these. If we pull down this tab right here, it says an antonym is a word that means the opposite of another. Antonym, opposite. On the other hand, a synonym is a word that has the same or similar meaning to another word. Now, one strategy that I like to use when remembering what the word synonym means is that it starts with S, and so does the word same. Synonym, same. They just kind of go together. Now we're going to match some sentences below. It says, drag and drop the word to complete the sentence. So our first sentence says, loud is a blank to quiet. Now loud is the opposite of quiet, so that's an antonym. Loud is an antonym to quiet. The next sentence says, squishy is a blank to soft. Squishy and soft are kind of similar. So similar and same, I'm going to say that's a synonym. Squishy is a synonym to soft. Our third sentence says, creepy means the same as spooky. It must be a blank. So my indicator in the sentence is the word same. And synonym reminds me of the word same, so I'm going to say that creepy is a synonym to spooky. Our last sentence says, smelly is the opposite of fragrant. It must be a... If we know that it's the opposite, I associate opposite with antonym. So I'm going to say that smelly is the opposite of fragrant, because fragrant is something that smells pretty nice. So there we go, we matched all those together. Now what we're going to learn about is something called a homonym. Now these are words that sound alike but have different meanings. Now we have many of these in the English language, but down below I've shown you a couple. So the word no, spelled N-O, sounds the same as the word no, spelled K-N-O-W. Now these words have two different definitions, but they sound exactly the same. The word no can be used to say what you want. Do you want to do this? No, I don't. And the word no, K-N-O-W, can be used when you're asking a question. Do you know the answer? But these words cannot be used interchangeably. The next word we have is see, S-E-E. This sounds the same as the word see, spelled S-E-A. Now these words are pretty confusing because they're only one letter off, and they sound exactly the same. But in order to know what we're talking about, we need to know what the sentence is. So I can say the sentence, do you see the sea? If we're on a boat, and that would make perfect sense to anyone who's with me. Our last one is the word there. And this one is very commonly mistaked by many people. It's spelled T-H-E-R-E, but another spelling of it is T-H-E-I-R. Now these two sound exactly the same, but there, the top one, T-H-E-R-E, is used to describe a place where something is. So if I say the book is over there, I would use the top word. If I want to say that the book belongs to them, I would say it's their book. T-H-E-I-R. So those are some homonyms that we can use that we have to differentiate. We have to know what they are. Now we're going to match some synonyms and antonyms based on the word clever. So we have to figure out a synonym for the word clever and antonym for the word clever. So our first word over here is naive. So naive is something that's pretty innocent, it's pretty new, it doesn't know a lot. So I'm going to say that naive is an antonym for clever. And there we go, it fits. Now we have reckless. Reckless is something that you don't really think things through, you just go with the flow and just do whatever you want. So I'm going to say that's not very clever either. Now, knowledgeable. I know in my mind that clever means that someone's very smart, they know a lot. So I'm going to say that knowledgeable sounds a lot like that. So I'm going to drop it in this circle, and that's the right answer. Now we have the word talented. So when I think of talented, I think of someone who knows how to play an instrument and they're very knowledgeable in that instrument. So I'm going to say that they are very clever. And there we go, that's a synonym. Now we have the word unwise. So someone that is wise is someone who knows a lot, they're very knowledgeable. So if you're unwise, you don't know a lot and you're not very knowledgeable. So I'm going to say that that's an antonym for the word clever. And talented again, we said that that is a synonym. Skilled right here, when I think of skilled, I also think of the word talented. So I'm going to go ahead and say that that's also a synonym. And that's correct. Now stupid, I think it's pretty clear that stupid is an antonym for clever. Let's drop it in here. And bright, so we know that we can describe something as bright, like the sun or a light, but when we say the word bright as an adjective for describing a person, it means that they're very smart, they know what they're doing, they're very brave, so we can say that bright is a synonym for clever. And our last word is silly. So when I think of silly, I don't really think of clever, so I'm going to drop it in the antonym column. And there's all of our words, they all fit. So our last slide says, what kinds of words are these? And now we have the word pale, P-A-L-E. So now if I click down here, I have the word light, dark, and pale. So we have to match up whether these are synonyms, homonyms, or antonyms. So when I think of the word pale, P-A-L-E, I think of right in the beginning of the summer when I'm not tan yet and I'm still pretty pale and I really want to go out and get a tan and get darker. So pale to me is a synonym for light. They're the same. So if I erase right here, I can see the answer. And I was right, light is a synonym for the word pale. Now pale and dark, I'm going to say that those are antonyms because if you're dark, you're the opposite of pale. You're not very light. So dark is an antonym for pale. Lastly, we have the word pale, P-A-I-L, over here. So we know that pale is not a synonym because a pail is an object. You can actually pick up something, you can carry something in a pail, but it's not an adjective like light and dark. So we know that it's not a synonym or antonym. But pale sounds an awful lot like pale, so they have the same sounds but different meanings. So I'm going to go ahead and say that that is a homonym. And there we go, that would be right. So that is our lesson on synonyms and antonyms, and be prepared to use these in class.